Bear Creek can come and present, and anybody that has any questions or concerns could appear at your committee, and the entire issue could be dealt with in a doesn't have to be a special meeting, but in your committee, and hopefully we would come out of committee with a position on that.
Mr. President, that's all well and good, but for the benefit of the people at home, the only thing that has held this up is an internal amenity that they plan and as part of their marketing effort. This has nothing to do with Carmel's alternative transportation plan. This has nothing to do with the connectivity of the neighborhood. This is strictly an inner circulator, and the petitioner explained at committee that their intention was to be a very low-intensity usage. That's why they selected the materials that they did. To my mind, and I've said this to several of my colleagues, by the way, one thing that's changed is Mr. Ryder isn't here because he would have seconded that motion. He was very strong in his support of this development through the Plan Commission and his role on the council. But this is as though we might as well dictate to people what shape the pools should be in their common areas as to dictate what kind of an internal amenity you want to place in there. As I've said many times before, I'm a believer in market forces. And if Pulte, far more experienced than any of us in the development of neighborhoods, has made a mistake, they'll rectify it. They'll either be back here saying, we're not going to do the paths, or by golly, you're right, we need to do asphalt. But in terms of continuing to hold up and have this developer spend more time, if the objection of the parties, at least two, is the makeup of these paths, I'm sure that Pulte, because they said at the committee, they would drop the paths. So I would respectfully request that we ask them if that is the opinion, and if the sole stumbling block is the mulch paths as an inside amenity to this development is removed, I see no reason why we couldn't move forward this evening. You know, the thing we often lose sight of is Mr. Oaks doesn't volunteer his time. And this is these developers are spending money. In the case of a PUD, it's not, as you know, untoward to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to this point. So first of all, I appreciate my colleague, Mr. Carter, giving voice to the fact that do we really want to kill this right now? Because I thought the sentiment I heard tonight was that we didn't. So if the stumbling block is solely mulch paths, then why don't we ask the developer if we can take the paths out of the development and move forward?
Okay. Who was the third positive recommendation in committee?
That was me.
Okay. Can Councilor Finkeln, let's just go ahead and work through this now. Take the lead from Councilor Sharp and Councilor Carter. What is it that has changed your mind on this from committee to this evening?
We've had two members of the committee who have been lobbying right before the meeting very strongly that they're not for this because of the mulch paths. And my thought was, and I'm usually one for expedient handling of issues in front of us, but my thought is if we could take 2 weeks to discuss that, see if we can get to, we're saying A or B, is there a C there? Have that conversation and come back. So I was lobbying for additional time, not to kill the bill.
Okay. We killed it.
Counselor. Can you give us any insight as to whether or not your client is willing to make adjustments to move this forward?
Well, yes. The simple answer is yes. And after the conversation that Councilor Carter referenced, we did have a further discussion. This issue was very heavily discussed. As a matter of fact, the most discussed issue at Plan Commission, at Subdivision Committee of the Plan Commission, and then back at the Land Use Committee for this council. This issue has been heavily debated, and I think Councilor Sharp states the case that Pulte has made very well, which is we're concerned about, in some cases, the location of the path as it meanders through this subdivision. Now, having said that, after our discussion, we looked at it a little bit more closely and said, well, it doesn't always meander through the subdivision, only really internally. This project will have sidewalks, like all subdivisions are required to have. So our thought was it would be possible to start here and then out to. We will have a 10-foot multi-use path that's required along the Little Eagle Creek Avenue and also along 146th Street. So the asphalt trail will start here and then lead all the way to that pathway. The thought being that if someone wants to use a bicycle or some other type of skateboard, something else, that they could use the sidewalks, get to the asphalt path, and get to the multi-use path. And then we would also do that here, and then because it doesn't meander amongst the homes, it would go all the way along here, all the way to the front, and then back up to the multi-use path on 146th Street. That would allow the trails internally, which are along the rear of the homes, to remain mulch. But we would be willing to do that. Another alternative would in fact be to eliminate the path altogether. My client would be willing to do both.
Okay. Councilor Finkum, is that either one of those options or help you in moving this forward?
Yes. I don't want to see the paths pulled. If you make all those multi-use that you showed, I'm good with that. And you'd have a second.
I move that we approve Z589-14 with the additional commitment made by the developer's agent this evening regarding the paths.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, I will.
It has been moved to approve the Bear Creek PUD Ordinance Z589-14 with the original commitments presented this evening. In addition, modification of pathways is just represented by Councilor Oaks for approval. Is there discussion?
Councilor Oaks, would you reiterate what you just said and explain that again, please?
Sure. The concern that Pulte has always expressed and that has led to the desire to make these paths mulch was that this trail, we wanted it low impact. We wanted it to meander through the project, and in fact it does do that. It loops around the rear of many of these homes. There are parts of the path, however, that don't come that close to the homes or that are screened from the homes by landscape buffering yards. And so with that in mind, we would be able to use asphalt for the paths starting between lots 47 and 48, and then it would go all the way to the multi-use path that runs along Little Eagle Creek Avenue, which is a 10-foot wide multi-purpose path. We would then also make the trail asphalt commencing at the front of the lots, at the front of lot 74, at the corner of lot 73, and then it would wind up all the way along 146th Street till it meets up approximately in this location to the multi-purpose path on 146th Street.
Thank you. Councilor Carter, is that enough for you?
Yeah, I would say the explanation is enough. I still don't agree with it. We look at, for example, the development that is just east of Gray Road on the south side of 126th Street. $1 million to $2 million homes. All the way around the water amenity there is multi-use path. It's asphalt. Their internal pathway system is an amenity for that community. It has not hampered the sales of those homes or the resale of those homes over the years. So I will tell you that I don't agree with your rationale, and I think we are making a mistake in saying it is appropriate to go ahead and tell bike riders and especially kids to ride their bikes however they can to get out of the development to a multi-use path on the perimeter. And so I think that's unfortunate precedent that we're setting here. At this point in time, I can't support it. And as I said the other night, I wouldn't support it. I would hope that the rest of my colleagues would not support it also. But I think the die is probably cast. But I want to, again, express that I don't think it's appropriate for the community.
Mr. President?
Thank you, Councilor Carter. Councilor Schleif?
There may be another option, and I have a problem with the mulch paths. I don't think they're sustainable. Grass will grow in, and the borders will not be, even if you use bender boards or whatever, I mean, it's not a long-lasting solution. This development already has sidewalks. It's got multi-use paths on two sides. There's plenty of connectivity here. I do like the paths coming in on the perimeter, but the mulch on the inside, maybe an option is to remove the center part and just to keep the pathways in asphalt on the perimeter along the creek and on the southwest corner there. The reason, and I guess that would be the first point. The second point is one of the main reasons I voted no for this was that we have consistently gotten the same materials on all sides of our buildings since 2007 that I can think of and you've been really good at meeting all the guidelines except that one. And so what I would request is that if we really want Carmel to have consistent materials and details on all sides of our four buildings, that I would request that you add that in there to your commitments. But I might offer this other alternative of no mulch paths in the middle and concrete on the outside also.
Well, we currently have in front of us a motion to approve with the original commitments as well as the additional commitments made this evening. Is there any other discussion? Councilor Snyder?
Thank you. I don't serve on land use, and I'm not considered a path advocate. There are people on this council that each have different issues in which they're interested, but I certainly agree with Councilor Carter about the enormous project at 126th and Gray. Those paths are 10 years old, and people walk them all the time. So I'm going to digress into something personal. I just put 51 yards of mulch 2 weeks ago to my property, and let me tell you, it is difficult to deal with. I've got to put Treflan down twice a year, or I've got weeds coming up all over it. I've got to have a crew of 13 people out there edging it to keep in good condition. Mulch doesn't work. It looks fabulous when you put it down. And after that, it's a continual fight. I would rather see the mulch paths disappear and the multi-use paths on the periphery. I agree with Councilor Schleif on that. I've been fighting mulch for years, and unfortunately you got me at a wrong time. I'm mulched up to here.
If I could address the
Please.
My client would be amenable to eliminating what under the current motion would be the interior mulch paths and keeping the exterior asphalt paths, and in fact would like to leave open the ability to add the interior paths in the future, provided that if they were added, they would be asphalt.
Works for me.
It sounds to me like I heard a few "it works for me's." So is there an
I'd like to amend my motion and incorporate the developer's commitment to the asphalt exterior paths and commitment that there will be no mulch interior paths, though they reserve the right to install that network of interior paths using asphalt as their material.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Councilor Sharp, seconded by Councilor Finkum to amend the original motion to approve Z589-14 with its first and second previously stated commitments. Is there discussion? Seeing none, is there all those in favor of amending Ordinance Z589-14 as proposed with two additional amendments, including the third amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. We're now dealing with Ordinance Z589-14 as amended. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Carter, seconded by Councilor Sharp to approve Ordinance Z589-14 as amended. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 6-0.
Thank
Tim,
you.
thank you. Well, that was almost fun.
Frankly, thought we did a pretty good job on that myself. Okay. Eric, I thought we did a pretty good job on that myself.
We are on to 10.